right, so good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Satya Mallick. I'm the CEO of OpenCV.org. And today we have with us Ramon Roche, who is the General Manager of Dronecode Foundation. And we are going to discuss the importance of unity in robotics and how open source is so important to bind communities together. And as always, with me is also Phil Nelson, who is the Director of Content and Creative at OpenCV. Phil produces the show, and if anything goes wrong, it's his problem.
That's absolutely right, Satya. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. I am the crowdfunding rainmaker, the open source risk taker, the second banana who is second to none. I'm also your plus one and only. It's Mr. Nelson if you're nasty, but you, my dear friends, can call me Phil. And I'm here to remind you of a few things that we do every single episode of OpenCV Live, which is the show that you're watching right now. One of those things is a giveaway to you out there in the audience. Stay tuned. Later in the episode, I will be asking a trivia question based on what we've talked about here today, and you will have the opportunity to win one free OpenCV course of your choosing, so stick around for that. We're also taking questions from you in the audience, and we will do our best to provide answers to those questions directly, as the great Satoru Iwata would have said. So ask your questions wherever you're watching on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, Zoom, whatever. We will do our best to flow those questions into conversation. If you're on Zoom, which you can get to by going to opencv.live, you can hit the little Q&A button at the bottom of the screen, and that'll put it into a nice little queue, so it's easy for me to pick out the best ones and ask those as we go during the show. That is all for now, but I think we should start off the show today, Satya, by talking about the big announcement we made earlier this week. We are searching for OpenCV 5, aren't we?
We are desperately looking for OpenCV 5, and it's nowhere to be found. And the reason is that, as with all open source initiatives, it is super important that it is a well-funded project. And fortunately for us, for 22 years, OpenCV has found some funding from some source or the other. It has never been sufficient to build an organization around OpenCV, but it has been sufficient, or at least enough, to have a team that works on the library itself. So I would say 90% of the revenue we generate through various means, it actually goes to the OpenCV library for the developers themselves, right? And the whole management, the board, we don't charge anything to the OpenCV Foundation. And so, it's been okay, but we want to take it to the next level, right? And the only way to do it is not just from corporate sponsorships, which has been a great help for us until now, but get it directly from the people. That way we can be truly independent, right? It's not like, we have to, when you take money from big corporations and you have no other options, then even if they are the nicest people, you feel a sense of obligation to deliver something, right?
There's always strings attached, even if they say no strings attached. That's just sort of how it works. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, I have to be honest that we have been very lucky to have sponsors like Intel. Google provides Google Summer of Code sponsorship, no strings attached. And, Microsoft helped us with credits for our students. So all these organizations, they are helping us, and it's great. But I think the true power of open source lies with the community. And that is why we are going to do a crowdfunding campaign with Indiegogo to raise money for OpenCV 5. Now, the question is, how much money do we need for OpenCV 5? Part of the reason is, I won't go into the details, but because of geopolitical issues, we lost a big part of the OpenCV team, which was, the Intel team, which was helping us. We lost it. And so now we have about half the size of the team, right? So ideally, we would like to hire people and, top-notch engineers who will stay with OpenCV for a very long time and help build the library. But also some of the features would be, we will try to see if we can get people to contribute for free or contribute in collaboration. So our mentorship program with Google Summer of Code, for example, is excellent in the sense that the mentors donate their time and energy, and Google provides funding for the students. And we want to do similar things from OpenCV directly. We did that a little bit this time. We had 2 students who were not funded by Google Summer of Code, but from OpenCV. And mentors generously allow, they provide feedback every week for those students, and we were able to get a lot of features done that way. But there is also this critical issue that there are parts of OpenCV which you cannot get done through interns, right? These are, the core library, how the memory allocation happens. This is core C++ library where the person who can do that kind of stuff needs to have deep expertise in C++. They need to have deep expertise in computer vision, and they need to have deep expertise in processor level optimization, right? So those kinds of roles are very expensive to fill. And that is why we need your help with OpenCV 5. And any money that is raised through this Indiegogo campaign will directly go for supporting developers, right? We have, Phil and I actually worked on some other proposals for non-developer resources. Recently, we did a proposal for National Science Foundation, and this is the first time we have submitted such a proposal. And that could bring in some support for non-developer resoson. But we've
also been pretty lucky to sign on a couple of new member organizations, such as the Dronecode Foundation, with our esteemed guest is the general manager of, as well as Intuitivo. Shout out to Jose there.
Right. Thank you so much, Ramon. And so there are when we do the OpenCV 5 Indiegogo campaign, I would love to have contributions from you. Please be generous, because all of it will go towards building the OpenCV library that we all love, right? The second thing you can do is nudge your companies to support the OpenCV library. And there are 3 tiers. The first tier is the gold membership, and we are in talks with several companies. Right now, the members are Intel. Intel is actually, we consider them a platinum member because they have been supporting us for 22 years. Then we have Google, and then we have Microsoft, right? And we may have some new companies joining as gold members, but I cannot talk about it right away because the contract is not signed. But we also have another tier, which is the silver membership. These are companies that provide about $30,000 of revenue or donation to OpenCV Foundation. And right now we have RoboFlow. There's another company that is coming on board very soon, but I cannot talk about it again for the same reason. So, I mean, companies, these are startups. Think about it, right? These are startups who think that they have to give back to the community, and they are helping us. So please put in a word with your company managers, etc., if there is a possibility of a donation to OpenCV. And keep in mind that these things show up on our website. A lot of computer vision folks get to see your company profile, especially if you're not very well known. There could be, I'm sorry, I missed out 2 important ones. In the gold membership, FutureWay and Huawei are also gold members. So sorry about that. Okay, now back to silver membership. There's a lot of visibility people get by being a silver member. Let's say your company wants to hire computer vision engineers. When other computer vision engineers see them on our website, right, they feel good about the company, right? It is that, okay, this company is it's at the level that they can sponsor OpenCV, right? So there's a lot
of quick shout out to another silver member. I just saw Ginger in the LinkedIn chat. Hi, Ginger, and shout out to Hackster.io, the official community platform of OpenCV, who is also a silver member.
That's right. I'm forgetful today. I'm so sorry. I should not be messing up these things.
You could have just played it off like we meant it to go that way. You gotta be smoother. You gotta be.
No, I messed up. Okay, so and the final sponsorship level is the bronze sponsorship level, which is, by the way, not everything that goes wrong is your fault.
You're contradicting yourself now. You're digging your hole deeper.
Deeper, right? So the bronze membership, it's interesting. We did not have this membership until recently. And the reason we even have this membership is because one of our students who had been part of OpenCV University, he went on to start a company in South America called Intuitivo. His name is Jose Benitez. And Jose came to us and said that, oh, the company is doing great. They raised $7.8 million. But most of that money is obviously going to build the company, but he would love to donate to OpenCV because it has been such a great influence for his company. But 30,000 was a big number, and I said, okay, we will come up with another tier, and that tier is $6,000, and that is actually very good for startups and small companies to contribute, right? So $6,000 per year of donation to OpenCV. And part of the bronze membership is, the Dronecode Foundation is a bronze member, and Intuitivo is a bronze member. There are some other companies in the pipeline. Again, we cannot talk about them yet. So
yes,
did I miss any other company? Phil, you're your savior today.
It's great. Hey, it's great word of mouth. It's great social proof. Everybody loves OpenCV, and it only helps to have your name listed amongst the companies that are supporting OpenCV. In our minds, morally, that makes you significantly superior to some of the larger companies out there who use OpenCV directly in their billion-dollar applications, but don't give us any money. So, consider that. Shout out to Jose. Jose is also a great LinkedIn follow. Posts really good stuff all the time on there. So yeah, check out Jose Benitez on LinkedIn as well. With that having passed, we've also got the OpenCV AI competition 2023 flavor is still ongoing. You can still join. There are 57 days left before the final submissions are due. We've got 1,368 people participating this year, and it is still open. You can still go to the Hackster competition page, sign up to participate, check out the forum, check out our Slack channel if you're looking to join a team, or if you just want to compete as a team of one. You can check out, people are helping each other out in our chat systems and all that kind of thing for ideas, for code, for pointers to other good open source repositories that can help you get started on your project. Even though you've only got 57 days left, you still have time to make something awesome and win your share of the $48,000 in cash and prizes, including free credits from RoboFlow just for participating. So check that out if that's something you're interested in and you think you might have the time here. We love seeing the awesome projects that the community come up with every single year for this competition. It's a big highlight of the year for us. Any thoughts about the competition this year, Satya?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things like, especially for students and people who want to get noticed, even small companies who want to get noticed, the competition is a great way to showcase yourself, right? We know that there are several companies from the last competition that got so much visibility, right? Some of them even got funding because of the visibility they got on the competition. So take it seriously, and it can, it would be great to write on your resume if you're a student that you won the competition, right? Or you're in the top 3 in the competition, etc. And for a company, if you're a small company, there is nothing that highlights this, that you're an expert in computer vision and AI than winning competitions.
Yeah, it also shows you're, part of the broader community, which is something that employers really do look at. They look at, how does this person interact with other people? So it definitely can help you not just get some name recognition, but can help you get a job for sure.
Right. All right. Yeah. So now we are ready to go with our guest, Ramon. Ramon, welcome to the webinar. And we are so grateful to have you here because you and, we, both of us, our organizations, we share a common ethos, and we are based on the same open source, ideas. So take us, start with a short introduction of yourself, and then the show is all yours.
And I'll segue into my presentation from there. Actually, I'll just get it out of the way. I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Yeah,
looks great.
Okay, well, I'm grateful for the great intro that you made. Like, I'm always amazed by how much Phil can say without taking a breath. He can go for minutes.
Hey, it's my only marketable skill.
It's one I'm jealous of, my friend. So we have been discussing about OpenCV and how the gigantic effort that it requires to be able to continue pushing for this, especially in the current geopolitical situation, which is something that cannot be overstated, honestly. And I'm already doing part of my pitch here. So just want to find the perfect relationship between what you were saying and what I'm about to tell you, because I think it fits 100% into what I was trying to achieve today. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Ramon Roche. I am the general manager of the Dronecode Foundation. I've involved in multiple robotics efforts. One of them is with my co-lead, Kimberly Mawire from BitCraze. We're doing the Ross Aero Robotics Community Work Group. It's an effort to map the aero robotics landscape through the lens of the Ross community. I've been working in robotics, specifically aero robotics, for the last 10 years. And I'm really excited to talk to you. So if you can scan that code, you'll be able to connect with me and we can continue chatting afterwards if you have any questions. I'm also going to be answering questions today on chat. Before I go on, and if you don't know what Dronecode is, it might be a bit weird. So I have this slide here. For those of you that already know this, bear with us for a second. So like Satya and Phil were mentioning, like an open source project isn't just going to survive on good wishes and good vibes anymore. We need support from folks like you watching. We need support from companies. We need support from the industry that is actually depending financially on the well-being of the software supply chain. For those of you that haven't heard that concept, the software supply chain is basically like a supply chain for food, for any other industry. This is for delivering safety critical software projects. And in the robotics industry, I think there's a lot of tech debt that we can fix together. And the Dronecode Foundation is a nonprofit, just like on OpenCV, and we also accept memberships. It's a way for us to secure funding for the open source projects. Which open source projects? Those that help aero robotics. And we're part of the Linux Foundation. We've been founded since 2014. We host open source projects like firmware, middleware, but we also have open standards, hardware open standards. We also have open hardware. And we have a huge community that is very happy to be here and to have the friendship of OpenCV. All right, everything in one single picture. Imagine PX4 Autopilot, which is the brains of the drones. It's what actually controls navigation, does the sensor fusion, estimation, and the navigation. We have projects like PixOff, which is the open hardware, MapLink, which is a middleware, Map SDK, which is an API on top of MapLink, and QBranch Control, which is a UI that actually allows you to control drones. Dronecode Foundation is an industry association where companies can actually collaborate with each other, and we support other open source projects and in the ecosystem, just like OpenCV and Ross. That was the quick
Hi,
pitch.
Kat, if you're watching.
Yes, hi, Kat, and hi, everyone else from the Ross community. Thank you so much for all the support you've been giving us. So all this drone stuff has been around for a while now. It's not new. And I already was a guest in this awesome stream. But I think last time I was not really talking about any specific topics. It was more of an intro, generic intro. And I wanted to revisit that sort of to allow me to deliver my message today. So the industry, the drone industry has been going through a lot of different stages, and the aero robotics community has been building tools and projects to become more resilient to, let's say, market changes. So since 2011, we've been producing PixOff hardware. And this is all the hardware that's been produced throughout the years. And as you can see, the first iterations were kind of DIY hardware, you can say. But over time, we evolved into an actual industry standard and to the gold standard and to whatever we have right now, which is the hardware that is running the safety critical operations of more than 1 million drones out there in the air right now.
Dang.
And yeah, it's a big number and it's a huge community, but not a lot of people know about this because we've been in our own bubble. And there's the good news is that we're ready to start collaborating with other companies, with other communities, with other sectors of the robotics industry. So we're advocating for open technologies in every type of vertical for the industry, the robotics industry, on the consumer level, the commercial level, the industrial level. And let's say, let's put a stake in the ground. Let's see where we are right now. Honestly, there's a lot happening already, and I just want to make sure that we're level on the same ground of understanding here. So right now, what have we achieved? We have achieved safe and reliable flights. Operations are now secure. You can trust that you have a vehicle, you can put it up in the air, and you will get it back, provided you do the proper tuning, you do the proper setup. There's, it's not as like you take it out of the box and put it out to fly, unless it's a product that you purchase from a company. If you're setting it up, if you're making a prototype, you might have to invest a few hours of development. We have achieved GPS navigation, but also GPS denied navigation, mainly for indoor deployments. We have basic vision-based navigation. I know that there are papers out there that are using very advanced vision-based navigation. The honest reality is that we're not there yet. There's no off-the-shelf product that you can purchase right now that has top-notch vision-based navigation. There's a reason for that. I'm going to go talk about it on my slides. And there's like the first strokes of detect and avoid. Very simple. Hey, there's a laser, and the laser detects there's an object in front of you, and you need to change course. All right. The first strokes of that are already in place. You can already purchase a drone that won't crash into the very obvious world that you have in front of you. But as the environments become more complicated, that might not always be the same. But that's just where we are right now. Let's be honest. What are the common architectures that you can see in the aero robotics landscape? Well, mostly everything is still running on the embedded controllers. We have two big partners. We have STM, and most of the hardware that I showed you is based on STM32H7 boards and other variants. But we also have NXP semiconductors, and we're releasing an open standard together soon, but part of PIXOC, that is also going to allow for embedded flight control.
Well, the STM32 is everywhere these days.
Oh yeah, and it's so hard to get, honestly, right now. It's some of the hardware manufacturers are having problems securing those parts, and it's also one of the reasons why the industry has seen a huge influx in raised cost for components, and it's affecting every part of the supply chain right now.
Yeah, I was just looking around my office here, and I can identify like 4 different products that have an STM32, and then one of them is the Playdate. Shout out to Panic, one of the great indie software developers of all time, and also makes a really fun little handheld gaming device based on the STM32.
That's a great example, Phil. That's a great example. But there's also another one like the Switch. The Switch also using STM32. Yes. And like when you're competing against companies that are pushing tremendous amounts of volume, so all of a sudden, billions of dollars sold in the small drone industry might not be enough to incentivize a company at the level of STM to actually help you secure that volume.
When you've got Nintendo ordering millions of them and you need 100, it's, you don't look as interesting from a supplier standpoint.
Exactly. So we got the embedded flight controllers, but now interestingly enough, we're pairing them with Linux companion computers. We've seen an influx of, let's say, Jetson Orin. Any other companion computer like a Raspberry Pi 5. And we're starting to offload some of the compute to the non-real-time compute part of the system. And now we're also starting to see a lot of more drones that are always connected via LTE 5G. So if you think about it, we have more sensors in the drone. Perhaps we have a stereo camera in there. You're able to do some basic vision-based navigation. You have the secure element on the flight controller. You have a companion computer allowing you to process all that vision information. You're already connected to the cloud. You're pushing telemetry out. That's wonderful, right? But we didn't get to here all the way up to like 10 years after the fact. So once the technology got established, it got made a standard. 10 years later, we're barely scratching the surface and the potential of everything that's connected. Not to mention that integration between the parts and the systems are not great yet. Like if you honestly purchase parts online, unless you find a really good tutorial, you're not going to be able to have a great experience assembling everything together. And there's a big reason for that. but I'm not going to touch on it. It's like, I'm not going to spoil the surprise. So how well are drones received in our communities? This is a big topic. This is a topic that not a lot of people talk about. What do you think of when you see someone flying a drone in the park? First of all, don't fly near me. And some people are still scared of drones, but the vast majority have accepted that drones are like a normal occurrence during your day. Think about that. 10 years ago, drones were not as common, but now you finally reached the point where robots operating next to a human are not considered like a whoa thing. Like it's not a surprise anymore. You're expecting to see 1 or 2 autonomous vehicles next to you and during your day. So there's no fear. And that is allowing for setting the stage for fully autonomous operations and volumes of drones or vehicles being next to you. What are the examples of applications right now? Well, we have delivery. We have very advanced research with swarming. We have more cargo and delivery. This is from Walmart. We have long range and very capable photogrammetry options like a vertical and takeoff and landing. We have big payload in the sky. Basically, early on, I think the first use case for a drone was putting a camera in the sky. Well, now cinematographers have found out a way to put really expensive Red 5 cameras on there and shooting your movies with it.
That's some heavy glass.
Yeah, that glass alone is probably more expensive than the drone, not to mention the actual payload.
Yeah.
And medical deliveries, which again are a very simple use case, but it's already revolutionizing sectors of our day-to-day lives just by having the access to that technology. But where is this going? What are we doing here? Why is this happening? All right, so like I already established, robots are said to become a day-to-day occurrence, but the volume of all drones and robots that we see is just set to increase. It's obviously going to increase. And with that and fully autonomous operations, which are coming, and what I mean by that is you leave a robot in a location and you forget about it, and the robot is going to continue doing its job until you tell it not to, or until it runs out of battery or physically can no longer do its job. Robots are just going to start manipulating the environment, not just reacting to it. And for that, we honestly need to start investing into building better interfaces and better components and being able to adapt better as developers and engineers to face this problem. So imagine having swarms of robots that not only talk to the cloud now they're going to be able to talk to each other and adapt real time to the information that one robot might be sending to the other on the other side of the fence and being able to collaborate together. So that is when things are going to start getting very interesting and very mind-blowing. So the increased perception capabilities paired with fully autonomous operations, which need to be enabled by regulation. And lastly, the access to the hardware is only getting cheaper. It's only getting more accessible. I know that we just discussed how STM32s are everywhere. Well, more hardware components are going to become more ubiquitous, and the commoditization of the very advanced sensors, it's going to continue to happen. So that means that we're going to have bigger, more capable robots. So in a hyper-connected world, hyper-connected robots are going to become a thing. It's just natural. So their environment is no longer going to need to be an obstacle. They need to be able to adapt, and they will be able to, like I said, connect to each other and be able to sense better. What are the examples of this technology? And I pulled some papers out of arXiv. And the reason I did this talking about the future is because these are papers that are describing how to do complex navigation using visual-based methods that are going to allow us to get to that future. So even though this is pre-established science from today, it hasn't been applied yet to a product. So this is why it's important to mention this. We are allowing, and this is already capable, someone already figured out how to do this, but the way to get there for an everyday person, it's not real clear yet. So someone had to do a PhD to be able to do this. In a few years, every day, like you and me are going to be able to achieve this just by downloading the library. And this is what I'm talking to you about today. This is where we want to get to. Collision-free trajectory generation on omnidirectional multi-rotor aero vehicles, done. That's the thing. Now we need to be able to make it easier and faster. Vision-based safe autonomous UAV docking. And by the way, these are all papers. There's citations below. Please go and look them up. These are the titles of the actual papers. This is describing how to use PX4, ROS, and YOLO V7 to do vision-based safe autonomous UAV docking. So this is a drone being able to know how to identify the docking station and dock in there. That's using all of my favorite technologies. A new simulator built on top of an ISAC simulation framework for multi-aero vehicle support. We're already pushing the boundaries of what simulation can deliver right now. We're trying to establish the technology, the development frameworks for people to be able to build the future that we're trying to get to. End-to-end UAV simulation, more visual landing navigation. Describing again and again methods on how to interface PX4, ROS, Gazebo, and OpenCV. And I can continue going like this for a while. If you go to archive to any of the paper indexers, you'll find many examples of papers like this. This is an autonomous navigation for micro-air vehicles in warehouse using vision-based line following. Another great example of a use case of indoor navigation using vision in drones. And honestly, how do we get there? Like, how do we get to that future? The good news is that it's a path that's already been set. It's already been laid out for you. It's by collaborating. It's just by doing what we're doing today, advocating for the open technologies. We got OpenCV, great project. Please support the development efforts of OpenCV 5. We got ROS 2, and we got PX4 Autopilot. But it's not only okay for us to be friends. We also need to be able to build better standards that are being used for the industry that make sense for actual companies to implement. That needs to be said. Companies that are driving the open technologies or driving industries need to collaborate. If you're a company that is using OpenCV and you depend financially on this, it's like the product that you're selling, one of the big selling points is vision capabilities. You should absolutely put some money aside that you're making out of this to support OpenCV because you depend on that financially. It makes sense. Same goes for ROS, same goes for PX4. But more importantly, if you're a developer, and this is something that Satya already mentioned, please go and talk to your management, talk to them about how to support, how to adopt an open source internal value guideline on how to go about contributing, what type of licenses that you can support, which kinds you cannot, what type of financial support you can give, and maybe there's an event, maybe there's a meetup that you can attend. Go and talk to us, go and meet the developers, and obviously go up to GitHub and contribute. But what can you contribute? Well, we need stronger APIs between us. We need stronger ties between ROS and PX4 and OpenCV. We need more and better educational content. We need tutorials, workshops. We need an educational curriculum that universities can take and being able to deploy how it makes the most sense to them. That's why I really support the OpenCV efforts on all of the educational courses they're doing. And most importantly, we need to collaborate. Collaboration is key. This is when I want to thank again OpenCV, and we're really proud to become a member of the OpenCV organization. We hope that we can continue to grow stronger ties between our communities. But most importantly, like if you need something from us, if you're a member of the OpenCV community, you want to try out drones, you want to try ROS, reach out to Kat on Open Robotics, reach out to me on Dronecode Foundation, reach out to Phil. Make sure that we are always collaborating and we know of each other and we have you on our landscape. One very important thank you to OpenCV because they are sponsoring the PX4 Developer Summit. We have a yearly event happening in October, in a few weeks from now, actually, in October 21st and 22nd. It's our flagship event. It's happening in New Orleans. We have passes still available. Dr. Satya Mallick is going to be giving a keynote at 9:45 on day one on the keynote stage. You can meet OpenCV, you can meet Phil starting at 10:30 on day one at the exhibit hall.
I'll be easy to find. I'll be the guy wearing a mauve-colored speed suit.
Yes, that's exactly how I picture you would. And next to the PX4 Developer Summit, we have ROSCON. ROSCON is happening a few days before the PX4 Developer Summit. It's happening October 18th and 20th. And it's your chance to meet more than 800 of their members of their community. We are co-hosted together. We are doing a lot of synergies, and we're hoping that you're going to have a great time. It's going to be a great week for open source robotics because we're going to get it kicked off with MoveItCon happening on October 17th in New Orleans. And then October 18th, we'll have ROSCON workshops at the Hyatt Regency. And then October 19th and 20th, ROSCON day 1, day 2, which, by the way, I'm giving a talk on to kick off the day 2 of ROSCON. October 21, which is Saturday, kick off the PX4 Dev Summit. Huge 500 drone light show happening in the French Quarter in New Orleans. Be very excited about that. Phil, Satya, please bring your cameras. We're going to need pictures and photos and videos and everything.
Yeah, I'll bring the DSLR. I'll bring the fancy camera for this one.
Yeah, we can't miss that. And PX4 Dev Summit Day 2, huge after party in the bowling alley. Don't miss that out. And a special treat to everyone watching. We have a flash sale happening right now. This is going live as I'm speaking. We're going to be giving away a $150 discount for full passes, $100 off for day passes. If you're coming to ROSCON, people, if you're coming to ROSCON, you're already going to be in New Orleans. Maybe you have a flight on Saturday night. Stay for the summit. Here's a pass. You don't need to spend on travel anymore. Take advantage. Here's the code. Take a screenshot or find us on social media. I'm sure my team by now has already blasted everywhere with the flash sale. And I want to leave you with one single message. Like, why does this matter? Why is this guy so crazy passionate about all these robotics things? Well, we're just getting started. We've been doing this for a decade now, and we're just getting started. The industry right now, it's estimated to be $33.7 billion in size, split between hardware, software, and services. But notice how it's leaning heavily towards the services. That's why those people are the ones that are actually solving customers' needs. The verticals for the robotics industry are finally making itself clear enough for you to be able to invest in that, in solving your customers' needs. You don't need to solve computer vision again. You don't need to solve robotics middleware again. You need to solve your customers' problems. How are you going to be doing that? Well, my proposal is that you adopt open technologies and that you take a piece of the pie, because drone delivery, here's a really cool report from Autharian. 64% of Americans see drone delivery becoming an option. 64%. 58% favor drone delivery. 41% will pay extra for drone delivery, and 44% will purchase a permanent landing pad on their backyard. That means that's a business waiting to happen. And by the way, if you notice,
that's a really interesting stat. I wouldn't have guessed it was that high.
So if you join the industry today, there's a chance by 2030, you have your products out there. And by then, the industry is going to grow all the way to $54.6 billion. By the way, I'm not making this up. Go look up drone industry reports. They have amazing yearly reports on the drone industry and its value, size, and all that. Please look it up. And if you want to get involved, let's chat. Join us on the PX4 Dev Summit. Join us on ROSCON. And with that said, I think I'm done.
Yes, follow the Chicken Man, Mr. Pollo, on Twitter at Mr. Pollo. Thanks so much. That was great, man. You burned right through that one. We've got some questions here. I think now is probably as good a time as any to do our giveaway. If you want to, we'll leave your thing up, or your contact up for just another few seconds here, so folks can scan that QR code.
Will do.
Yeah, get a hold of Ramon. The PX4 is a great community as well. I've checked in on some of the chats and forums and whatnot. It's a lot of good folks in there, answering questions and welcoming people into the community. So check them out. I'm not just saying that because they gave us money. It helps, but it's not the only reason. All right, if you want to go ahead, if you do me a favor, unshare your screen, we'll do our giveaway, our trivia and giveaway here. Yeah, so if you're going to join us at PX4 Dev Summit, you will have the opportunity to get some of the last few OpenCV Carpenter pencils. They're got red lead. I've got about, I think I have like 50 of them left, and I will be bringing those with me. So please come to PX4 Dev Summit, and you'll be able to get some OpenCV stickers, buttons, these extremely cool Carpenter pencils that I actually do use all the time. We partly made them red leaded, so they show up better on a lot of different kinds of metal and things like that. So if you're building out your drone, you can mark it up with an OpenCV pencil. Yes, so now is the time where we're going to do our giveaway. If you're just joining us for the first time, or if you need a little reminder, one of the things we do on this show is give away something free to you in the audience. I'm going to ask a trivia question based on the presentation given by our esteemed guest, and you are going to answer that trivia question. The first person to answer that question in the Zoom chat will win the OpenCV course of their choosing. Satya, you want to tell the folks a little bit about OpenCV courses?
Yeah, so OpenCV University, it provides several courses and programs. The courses, basically, they build a very solid foundation for anybody looking for a career in computer vision and AI. And we have several courses there. The very basic course is OpenCV with Python, mastering OpenCV with Python. It takes about a month to complete, and you get a very broad overview of various applications that you can build with OpenCV. It is not for somebody who is building, wants deep technical expertise or deep theoretical experience in computer vision. It is for somebody who wants to explore what are the various possibilities, build applications, etc. But if you want a very solid theoretical foundation, then we also have a course called Computer Vision 1. This is the fundamentals of computer vision and image processing. We have an applications course in computer vision, and then we have 2 deep learning courses. We also have a generative AI course program where you learn about mastering art with generative AI, right? So those are the various various courses available. And then we have programs, which is not part of the giveaway, by the way. Programs are a collection of courses that help you in your AI journey. And some programs are from the very basics to mastery. Sometimes people want just a small collection of 2 courses, Computer Vision 1 and one of the deep learning courses. So we have those options as well. So excellent. Yeah, it's a collection of many different courses with people with having many different backgrounds. So go check it out at OpenCV University, and you can choose.
Yeah, that's opencv.org/university.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see what courses are on offer there. And if you answer the trivia question correctly, in fact, the first person to answer the trivia question correctly in the Zoom chat will get the single OpenCV course of their choosing. Get ready to answer in the chat. If you have won in the last couple of months, please don't answer and give someone else a chance to win their free course. Here it comes. Earlier in the presentation, we talked about the PixHawk hardware. When was the first version of the PixHawk hardware released?
Ooh, that was fast.
Got a quick one. Like Christian Fob,
wow.
I think is how you pronounce that. Was 2011 was the answer we were looking for there. That was on one slide. Well done, Christian. Yeah. Partha, our trivia shark, was a hectosecond too late there. I saw him pop up around the same time, but I gotta go with the one that shows up first in the Zoom chat. Them's the rules and them's the breaks. Partha, maybe next time. We do. I am in awe of your trivia prowess. Get out of my head. Get out. Congratulations, Christian. Please send one email to phil@opencv.org. That's phil@opencv.org. It is my relatively public email address. You don't just have to ask me about the trivia. You can send me other questions about OpenCV. If your company is interested in becoming a member or anything like that, just send an email to phil@opencv.org and we can start talking. So congratulations, Christian. We've got a few really interesting questions here. I see, Ramon, you already answered one. ROC, we'll talk it out for the benefit of the folks watching out there. ROC asks, what outdoor drone or UAV would you recommend to a developer that seeks the following flexibilities: max payload capacity, exchange camera capacity, and exchange sensors, e.g. TDLAS. I don't know what that acronym means. Could you explain that a little bit and then give
I
your answer?
don't know what the TDLAS acronym means, to be honest, but I do know what, oh, sorry, am I moving? A good platform that you can use, we have the PX4 Developer Kit by Holybro. It's a big frame that allows you to build the drone very quickly, has all the components that you need, and has a flexible mounting plate on the bottom. You can actually 3D print any of the payloads that you want to adopt later, or you can exchange sensors the way you like it. So that's the most novel platform that will allow you to meet your needs there. You can find that if you go to docs.px4.io, px4.io, or just plainly look PX4 Developer Kit on Google by Holybro.
Yeah, I just pulled up their website here. Looks like the cost in US dollars currently is $603.99, which is a very interesting price point. I'm not sure I've ever seen that one before. But yes, that's a really cool looking drone. Looks like quite capable. I can recognize the PX or the Pixhawk controller there. Very cool, very cool.
Yeah, it's a very cool drone. Yeah, go ahead, see you.
How do people learn how to build applications on top of drones, or even build a drone and get it flying and build something basic with it? Because one of the challenges like we faced with some of our courses, especially the generative AI courses, is that we were creating material and it was becoming obsolete, right? The things were moving so fast that you create something and it was becoming obsolete. So a lot of material that we created did not even make it to the final product, right? So maybe drones, they don't have the same problem at the same scale, right? Things will, with hardware, things are supposed to move slightly slowly, but pretty much you have similar problems, right?
Yeah, we have very similar problems. Right now, things have been, like I was saying in the presentation, things used to be moving very slowly, like the architecture didn't change too much. We're going through like a complete rethinking of the internal components of a vehicle. And so the tutorial content is starting to get outdated, but it might not be in the hardware specifically, like all the way going to like the simulation that you're using, the API that you're using on the side. And that's why I was talking about the software supply chain, because we need to start looking into those components individually, making sure that they're resilient to changes on any other dependencies. So for example, right now, if you wanted to get started with drones, you don't really need to purchase a drone. You can go to the PX4 website, download the firmware, and build and use the gazebo simulator and have a drone on your screen and being able to control it. But once you're ready to go out to the physical world, yeah, definitely invest in a kit. So part of what Dronecode specifically what I'm doing is like I'm helping companies put those kits together, like the Holybro kit that I just talked about. That's a very big payload drone. There's a smaller one that I had on my slides, the Model AI Starling. That's using the Qualcomm RB5 chipset with internal in the Voxel 2 flight controller. And they have a collection of sensors that are going to allow you to do indoor navigation, outdoor navigation. It's a very small drone. It weighs like 200 and something grams. And it's super ultra capable. That's like the top of the line right now. There's nothing else that can equal it. And that's what you would get if you really invested in trying to run your computer vision pipeline, any advanced compute that you want to run on the drone. The drone will fly. It's just about what you will do once it's on the air. And everything that's on the industry, that's where we're focusing right now. We have this clear verticals on the side, but we know that if we allow in greater autonomy, we're going to be able to expand the market.
Right. And are there like software patches or something that guarantee that the drone would come back, even if it loses all the signal and, using GPS navigation, non-GPS navigation, even can it come back once it loses?
There's advanced sensor fusion happening, and we can be resilient to the loss of the source of truth depending on what the source of truth was before and the quality of the data you have. But we can depth reckon for a while. We can use the previous estimation to sort of figure out where we are and try to get to where we're supposed to go for safety without GPS. With GPS, definitely, like if you can fall back to GPS, so go back to the location where you set it. And this is all baked in PX4, and we call them fail safes. So if we trigger a fail safe, you can determine what the conditions for the fail safe are and what the action should be once you hit it.
Right. So I know military companies who are using drones for military applications. They are able to fly without GPS for 100 miles or more, right? Based on matching with satellite data, etc. It is pretty close. You can do that kind of matching, and surprising, right? 100 miles without any GPS. And this was 5 years back I'm talking about. Now it could be even higher.
Yeah, it definitely should be higher with the level of hardware that we have available right now. But most importantly, that's not really limited to military applications anymore. You can buy those sensors off the shelf now, and you can integrate those into any robotic system, provided you're not going to get access to the military grade equipment, but the equivalent in the consumer grade landscape.
Got an update from ROC TDLAS. Tunable diode laser absorption spectroscopy. I can't say it today. Spectroscopy. There we go.
Spectroscopy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Thank you, ROC, for that. Got another question here from our friend Bart T on LinkedIn there. Also, former guest on the show. Bart says, I'd love to build a drone that could fly around for a reasonable period of time, e.g. 30 minutes at a time on a single charge, while recording, e.g. for sports applications. Imagine a drone that records your tennis game and is always trying to get the best view for aesthetic as well as analytic purposes, making sure that you're framed well so you can do body tracking and things like that. Or sort of hover around as a personal assistant nearby while occasionally recharging itself. Do you have any suggestions for that very specific but pretty interesting use case from Bart?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think there's a few problems there that you need to solve. There's nothing off the shelf right now, but one is like the tracking of the point of interest. Once you get the point of interest tracking and making sure that you get those nice sequences that you want, then you want to start developing on the recharging and the autonomous side of the operation, making sure the drone can take off and land and recharge and all that. And then it comes the integration part where you want to actually be able to command the drone and say, hey, we're about to start a tennis session. Go and track this person or do this. And then as a human, being part of the loop, being able to command it and get the data that you need back. So there's like 3 parts there that you would need to invest on. And you can perhaps get started without an actual physical drone right now and doing that in simulation. But afterwards, you might want to start looking into one of the 2 options that I gave before, the Model AI Starling on the PX4 Autopilot by Holybro.
Right on. Also on LinkedIn, we've got a question here from Patrick. This is an interesting and important one. I feel we should at least briefly discuss it before we call it a day. What about the ethical issues of using this technology? I see many uses, including search and rescue, etc., but there is also possibility of use by nefarious agents. Are there any guardrails against these kinds of uses, or how does PX4 really think about this potential for really bad shit to be made out of some really awesome tech?
Yeah, well, to be honest, there's a clear line for us. We're not going to support any weaponization of robotics at all. And there's a very huge statement by Open Robotics that our friend Catherine Scott put together with Boston Dynamics. I think that we draw the line there. We're not going to help you do very centimeter level precision tracking or positioning. We're not going to help you do that, and we're not going to allow that to come into the code base. Other than that, there's not much that we can do as an open source project to limit the use cases. So we do have a code of conduct where we ask our developers to adhere to it and our contributors. But other than that, this is a BSD3 license project, so you can actually take it to market and do whatever you want, provided you file the license. So there's not much that we can do other than making sure that we do not support or we do not contribute those features that we already know are exactly what people are going to be needing to be able to do those malicious things. Now, having said that, there's drones that are being purchased off the shelf right now to be able to achieve those goals. So with technology comes a lot of problems, but I don't think those are specific to drones. Like a lot of people were fear mongering with cell phones also started to become a thing. Like, oh, people are going to have a camera like around them all the time and doing all these things. Well, it turns out drones are the same: camera in the sky, robot in the sky. It's just about the people that are building it, and that's why we need to collaborate. Because we need to do it together. But that's why going to events where you meet the other developers is very important. It's not just okay to talk to people in Discord and Twitter. If you meet them in person, you're really going to be able to know what they stand for, why they're developing this, and what their goals and vision is for the future of robotics.
Especially after a couple of drinks at the hotel bar.
Yes. That's when the truth comes up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah. Thanks so much for the presentation, Ramon. We're coming toward the end here. Anything you want to plug before we let you go for the day?
No, well, thank you for having me today. Make sure that everyone watching takes a chance. If you're thinking of going to PX4 Web Summit or ROSCON, take opportunity and advantage of this flash sale. And again, thank you, OpenCV community. We really love you. We really support you. We want to make sure that we continue working together. And we hope that this isn't like the end of our collaboration. This is just the start. We're getting started. Hopefully next year, we're going to have an OpenCV conference or OpenCV event, and we're going to get invited to. So knock on wood, let's make that happen.
Yeah, fingers
and
crossed.
Good luck with OpenCV 5. And that's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Satya, you want to take us home?
Well, I have two more. I forgot two more things, two more sponsors, so to speak. So just to lay out the complete landscape, right? How does OpenCV generate revenue for supporting the OpenCV library? There are two other big sources. One is OpenCV.ai, which is the consulting arm of OpenCV. It has the license to use the OpenCV name for doing consulting projects, and part of the revenue is shared back to support the library. And similarly, OpenCV University, which is supported by this company, Big Vision. I'm actually associated with both companies, so it also pays a big licensing fees to OpenCV for supporting the library, right? So those are the two. And finally, we have our partners in OpenCV China, and they occasionally work with companies to bring features to the OpenCV library, and they get paid by the company, and they share some revenue from that work as well.
Yeah, shout out to Shichi in China. There has been a guest on the show before, and always helps with the OpenCV competitions in the last several years. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, Professor Shichi was also responsible for starting the area chair initiative, where we invite people from the academia as well as from the industry to contribute to specific parts of OpenCV, right? And that is all. That's the entirety of all revenue sources that we have. We recently applied for the NSF grant, and if that comes in, that would be a very big chunk of the revenue as well. So we'll see.
That'd be walking around money, as they say.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Ramon. It's been a pleasure to have you here. And as I said, that our organizations share the same ethos and the same mindset for the open source community. And I'm actually a little bit concerned, not a little bit, very concerned about how things are moving. Things that used to be open source, like OpenAI, for example, it started out as an open source initiative. They had a nonprofit foundation, which still is a nonprofit foundation, but they changed into a for-profit company, right? And part of the reason is that there are financial pressures. Unless you start making money, you cannot support the initiatives, right? Especially like OpenAI. So when they stopped getting funding, they had no option but to turn into a for-profit organization. And that's very concerning, because all these AI projects, they are either they are in the hands of a few big companies, which is what it can be disastrous in the long run. So that's why we also had this conversation about OpenCV. How do we sustain itself? Should we have a paid version of OpenCV? And it was shot down. It was shot down by all the developers. The idea was shot down by all the developers, so we decided not to go that path. But because we did not go that path, it is very important that we get your help to sustain the library. And it will always sustain, it will always make progress, but to have those
we want
cutting
to keep up. We want to
right.
keep up with the state of the art.
Yeah, we need your help. All right, so that is it. Thank you, Phil, for organizing the show. Thank you, Ramon, for joining us. And thank you all our audience who join us every week. Really grateful for your support. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, folks. Also, happy October to everyone. Happy spooky season. If you're a fan of scary movies, vintage retro stuff, go check out my streaming channel, Retro Strange TV. You can go to retrostrange.com/TV, where we are playing nothing but scary movies from the public domain all month long, ad-free, tracker-free, surveillance-free. Watch along anytime in your web browser. Have a great day out there. Take care of somebody if you can. Take care of yourselves as well, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of the show. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and don't forget to tap the little bell icon to be notified when new episodes drop. This week's episode was brought to you by OpenCV University, a series of courses and career guidance brought to you by the experts behind OpenCV. Learn more at opencv.org/university.